Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to On the Mic with the M.
Auntie.
And today, the topic is the slap heard around the world. Um, T, what's your opinion on that, this entire situation?
It's one that I think changed a few times.
Hmm.
Initially, I think I formed the initial opinion. Give it a few days, and I think kind of switched around. First, it's like let that man defend his woman. Because if that's genuinely how you felt, then defend your woman. Yeah, by any means necessary. But then you take a step back and say, wow, you're not really on the level, so to speak, that Will Smith is operating on.
Hmm.
It's just like the different positions you hold in the workplace, right? If you have just an entry level position, you're gonna walk around different than someone who's the GM. Your liability is a lot larger.
Hmm.
You got more to lose. More people are looking at you. So initially, I wasn't really looking at it from the, um, I guess the mindset of like him being a leader, right?
Hmm.
Just that's your wife, take care of her.
Hmm.
But also he truly is a leader in that realm, and sometimes you gotta swallow some things and take the high ground, and he didn't. And that was the hardest pill to swallow. Whereas, he makes hard decisions all the times over all these years, and in this situation, that it just wasn't the proper choice. It just wasn't.
Yeah, the first thing I thought about was, why would you get up and slap someone? And I want to say this: when you're in that world, it's not like you're on the streets or
Hmm.
just dealing with your boys on the streets or just people on the street. You're with the A-listers. You're with the one percenters. There's a way you have to carry yourself,
Right.
and he didn't carry himself the way he should have. And if he had an issue with Chris Rock, and I'm pretty sure they talked, I'm pretty sure he didn't just say, "Oh, there's Chris tonight. I haven't seen him in years." Pretty sure he talked to him. And if you had an issue with that, then you should have just looked at him when that joke came across, giving you that look like, I got you. But we're gonna handle this off the record. We're not going. I'm not gonna get up. I'm not gonna slap you. I'm not gonna put my hands on you.
I just kind of assumed it was one of those situations where we did have a run in prior to, and I already let you know that you should keep my folk name up out of your mouth, and
Mm-hmm.
if not, then X, Y, and Z could occur,
Mm-hmm.
and you kept on playing, right?
True.
Like I just kind of feel like the warning was already there, and so the very idea that he took it there. I don't want to say the man is a loose cannon by any means. I feel like he's a level headed person. That couldn't
I
have
would
been the
think so.
first run in. Like I didn't just walk up to that man and slap him off the jump. Like nah, he disrespected us a few times.
And again, to me, he has to be a grown. They're grown men. They're all grown men.
Absolutely.
And so if you're a grown man, there's certain things you're not gonna do. You're not gonna walk up to a grown man unless he's gonna put his hands on your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other, or he says something so crazy to you that you're like, I'm have to maybe talk to him later on about this. I'm still not gonna put my hands on him because I have to make sure and show the world that someone can control me with some words that you said. Because now that's telling me that, hey, I say things to you and I can make you react. If I call you a sucker, then you're gonna put your hands on me. So now you're controlling my emotions. I don't have control of my emotions.
Right, which speaks to the leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Normally, if I lead my own situation, if I lead my own vehicle, nobody can drive it. I give my keys to no one,
Mm-hmm.
right? My emotions, my whatever, I run that show,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was something to see someone in such a position lose control, because when
Yes.
you took a step back, no matter who you were defending or what situation happened prior to, it was a situation where an individual person truly lost control in a public setting.
Very true. And I'm going to say this. This may be the elephant in the room,
Hmm.
but Jada caused all this. And I'm going to say she caused. What we saw was the effect. The cause happened before the. For instance, if you see something on television and you see a guy went off and stabbed his wife because she took the last ketchup bottle and she used the last little bit of ketchup. You're gonna say, well, damn, he killed her over a ketchup bottle. Well, that's the effect of what happened. The cause could have happened over months, over years, but at some point, it just clicked. He just went crazy, and he said, I can't take it. And this lady has made this guy a walking joke. He's a walking meme. First of all, this whole entanglement thing.
Back up off of Jada just a little bit, my dear M. Come on.
First of all, no woman is going to get on TV and say, well, okay, let's step back. If a guy came and said, hey, you know, I slept with such and such, that's not the point for her to say, well, yeah, we had this little entanglement and blah, blah, blah. Hey, entanglement, if I'm walking in the street, I trip and fall into some bushes. I got entangled in some damn bushes. That's entanglement. But if I go and fall into between someone's legs, that's not entanglement. That means some conversation had to happen. That means there had to be some vibe there. There had to be a feeling. There had to be something.
That's why it was an entanglement as opposed to, you know, the guy who I was sleeping with. That's why Will, I'd assume, was in his feelings because perhaps you slept with someone and caught feelings. And maybe we do sleep with other people within our marriage. I don't know. I hear that is the rumor. But perhaps we don't give our feelings away. And in that situation, I'd assume that that's what occurred.
Hey,
I was a part of the group who believed and bought into the idea that this couple was truly involved in an open marriage lifestyle. And the entanglement, I don't recall us ever speaking about any of Will's run-ins or lady friends or anything that he's been involved or who he's been involved with. But somehow, you know, Jada's situation gets put on the forefront and now we got to speak about it. And then we got to go deep into, you know, how deep her, you know, situation was all the way up until the point where we realized it was truly an entanglement, meaning there were feelings involved. And then your man is sitting there with, you know, crocodile tears in his eyes because he is hurt because you probably almost real life left the marriage for this man, which can happen, but I don't know why we aired all this to the streets anyway. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Why the hell do I care about what goes on in your house? And second of all, if someone made a comment about anything that went on between the two of you, you don't have to go out there and tell the world. You don't have to get on IG, get on any kind of podium, any kind of stadium and say, oh, well, yeah, we this did happen. Yeah. I don't really care.
It's because, like the lighter fluid to my own situation.
Exactly. Yeah. And so why would I want to even put not only him, but my kids? Because now my kids got to look and say, damn, my parents are doing that kind of craziness? Yeah. What the hell going on? So now he's a meme. Everybody looks at it, damn, he's a joke. And now you're right, crocodile tears. He's sitting there just in shock. And now he has to hear all this. Just keep eating at him.
So you think that this is the thing that got Will to the breaking point of losing self-control? Ultimately, it sounds like you're blaming it on the Red Table Talk.
Well, no. I blame on the host of the Red Table Talk. The host started all this. She could have very easily just the guy came and said, well, I slept with her. I ain't got to make any comments because it's no one's business if we did sleep with each other or not. But when you went out and said, yeah, it was an entanglement, now you pulled everybody into your world. Okay. And nobody needs to be in your world. I mean, you're a movie star. You do all these great things. Nobody needs to know everything about you. You should be open 24/7, 365. That's your personal life. And
the transparency is what you're saying you have an issue with at this point. It's too transparent and that a marriage is not supposed to be transparent.
No, because now you open your life up to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who has some sort of opinion, what I would have done, and I could have done this. And then, again, don't understand how their lives, how they run their lives. Don't understand this open marriage situation, which is another thing. How you going to have an open marriage and not catch feelings? Because somehow you're going to catch feelings one way or the other. I believe the host of that podcast, she controlled this entire situation. She could have very easily not took it there, not even brought it up as an issue. Just squashed it, let that guy kept talking, kept running his mouth, and it would have just died. It was just another story that, you know, maybe the Sun, maybe one of those columns would have ran and try to pull something out. But if you don't have any oxygen to feed the fire, fire goes out. But you gave him oxygen, and now you put him in a situation where he looks weak. He looks like, oh, you're just a clown. And the other thing is, she keep bringing up Tupac. Now you keep bringing up Tupac, right? The daughter talk about my mama would have loved you. Still here, Tupac. You know, we know Tupac is in Arizona somewhere. You know, doing this new album. You know, but the whole thing, it makes Will look like just a patsy. It looks like that he's just, you know what? I got a guy. I can be there with him. I can use him. I could, live off of him. He's gonna do what he's gonna do for me, and I'm just gonna ride this until I find something better. And it just made him look really, really bad. Plus, he let this situation take him to a level he shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he has anyone he can talk to about it. Because again, at that stage, at that point in life, when you're at that level, there's a lot of people you really can't trust, because you don't know if they're just going, okay, I'll listen to you. And next, they're calling on the phone, going to get that $1 million for, hey, Will talk to me. He told me he hurt and he all in his feelings. He ready to cut the dude.
Right.
So that's something that a lot of people, we don't think about being at our level. We're not at the top 1%. So, even though we have people we surround ourselves with that we don't trust a lot, but they just around us. But can you imagine someone who would sell you up for a bag in a heartbeat because, hey, I get this quick money? Because everybody's about that. They're about that quick money, and how can I further my agenda? And that may be, how do I get my face on the tape, on the TV, and or get my voice on the radio?
To me, but the red table talk, when it first went down, it didn't strike me as like, that quick money piece. To me, I thought it was like an attempt to build a legacy, like us on our own 2 feet. Mm-hmm. That's it, and that's all. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't need someone to call us out to their network or to their television studio. We don't need them to pay us. We'll mm-hmm. generate the money. We'll generate the shows, and almost like a grassroots approach mm-hmm. To TV casting. I just didn't think that we would necessarily use ourselves mm-hmm. as a thing to sell. And I think that that's the part that you speak to when you mention the children and the the marital lifestyle, that's just a little bit too much on display. But how is that still her fault? Was this not allowed? Like, perhaps it was an idea of hers, but are you not like allowed? Did he not allow this?
I'm not sure. And they both have their own fault when it comes to this. I mean, you don't get to this point without certain things you allow to happen.
Right.
Just because, it's going to keep peace in the house, I'm allowed this to happen. Again, this open marriage, I don't know if it was a mutual decision mm-hmm. or she said, listen, I want to have other people. He said, we don't know. When you open yourself up like that, you open yourself up to everything. So now we're asking, well, how did it get to this point? Because that slap made people now think, there must have always been an issue. There's always some issue going on.
Absolutely. Because, listen, if there wasn't an issue prior to, you were really out of control. What moved you so swiftly to get up and say, I'm going to, put my hands on, this man who, he's just as great as you are.
Yes.
But how do you demean this man on such a level if there was nothing else in the back? Like, he has never disrespected you prior to. It's hard to believe that mm-hmm. you would go and disrespect him on such a level. That's too much. So I need for there to have been some backstory on what he did and didn't do to you before.
And again, it's hard to believe that he didn't think that it would be some serious repercussions by putting his hands on someone. Your emotions should, at that point, it's I call it grown man. Grown man says it's just certain things I'm just not going to do, unless someone's life is in jeopardy. I'm not going to kill someone unless my life is in jeopardy.
Right.
I'm not going to smack a guy because he made a joke. It's not like we're in a party or in a club and all of a sudden he touches my wife and then I have to have a conversation with him.
Right.
But I'm not going to just automatically put my hands on him because this escalation of violence, which is so prevalent in society in general. We need to get away from that. So you got people say, well, dang, if Will Smith smack people, then violence, I guess, is acceptable. If your feelings get hurt, I guess you could put hands on someone. We know it's not. And
Because ultimately, is that what just happened? That somebody's feelings got hurt? Can we agree to that? He hurt.
his feelings were definitely hurt, and he should have handled that differently because he's Will Smith. He's a clean rapper. He's that guy.
Right.
He's you could bring him home. If your daughter dated him, oh yeah, that's Will Smith. He's cool.
Wholesome.
Wholesome
Yes.
dude.
Yes.
I love him. His squeaky clean music, nice guy. I want him. It's not like he's bringing. You bringing someone like the 2 Live Crew or someone to your house, or someone who's doing illicit drugs and sex with everybody and selling dope and all that. I mean, he's that guy. So
Right.
when he did that, it was like, wow, he put his hands on someone. What? Wow, is he all in his feelings like that? So now he has to deal with it, and he's never, no matter how many great things he has ever done, and will do in the future, he will always be known as the slap. And that's the unfortunate thing for him.
That is the unfortunate part, because he's worth and done so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tarnish on your career. And you still want to stand firm in saying that it's all Jada's fault. That's the crazier part to me.
Okay.
Whose fault is it?
She is the cause of the effect.
Okay.
So if she didn't do what she did, he wouldn't have done what he did.
So tell me what exactly she did to cause it.
She added oxygen to the fire. When that guy came out, based on what I've heard, this guy came out and said, I slept with Jada. She had to come out and say, oh, yeah, it was an entanglement. For me, she should have said nothing, because 2 grown people, consenting adults, whatever happened, that's between you and your husband. But you gave this guy airspace. You gave this guy airplay, who really shouldn't have got airplay. I mean, who the hell knew? I don't remember the guy's name. I don't even know him. But now you tie him to her. Now it's like, oh, that's a dude that slept with Jada.
Right.
So you gave him airplay. He didn't deserve airplay. If y'all was just kicking it and doing what you want to do, okay, kick it. But just don't need to bring it up and basically say, yes, I did sleep with him. And then your husband now, like I said, looks crazy, because now you're like, okay, you slept with him? And now, yeah, let's go on my show and let's talk about it.
So do you think Will didn't think of the repercussions of showing up that day?
I think Will was probably under a lot of pressure way before he got to that ceremony. I think it was been weighing on him. And I think in his mind probably is a way of showing chivalry, or, I'm standing for my wife. Because I'm looking soft out here in these streets. So I want to show the world that I'm not some cream puff, but really, I love my wife. I stand up for my wife. And, since Chris Rock made that joke, I'm just going to show the world. Even though she put his hand, now, when she put her hands on his arm, he should just sit right back down. But he wanted to go out and prove a point. He proved a point. Now he's out for 10 years going to the academy. He's lost Bad Boys 4. They put that on hold. There was 2 other movies they put on hold. So now in his head, you probably left about $60 million on the table that may or may not ever come back.
Right.
So now you have to look and say, well, what does my future hold? I mean, I haven't seen Jada since Set It Off. I don't know if she's doing any movies that's going to bring some money into the house, but I don't know the long-term effect.
Keep the family where they normally been at.
I would not be surprised if they get a divorce. I would not be surprised if down the road they get a divorce, because this is a lot to put on. They are in a stressful situation. They're a power couple. They're A-listers. They're the 1%. They're I wouldn't put them as the Obamas, but they're in that category. They're in that level 2 of couples that
everybody
power
has their
couples.
Eye on them.
Exactly.
Absolutely, I could agree to that.
So they have now tarnished that. So now, where do you go from here? So that means they have to work on this. And this is kind of an eye-opener for all couples, for all relationships. If, what will you do for your relationship? What will you do if something happened in your relationship and the pressure's so much? Will you lash out? Will you talk about it? I mean,
Well, whatever you do, you should do it in privacy. That's number one. Keep your marriage private.
Exactly.
That's
that
number
is
one.
so true. Stay off
We violated
IG.
that
Stay
number
off
one
Facebook.
thing. Yeah.
Stay off all that.
That your marriage is a private, sacred space for the two people within it, and you need to bring in some elders, some counselors. You bring in those folks. You don't bring in the community. You don't bring in the Facebookers. You don't bring in your Instagrammers.
Exactly.
You don't bring in your whole 2 Live crew to kind of weigh in on your hard stuff that you're going through within the marriage. I think that we can all learn from that, in that sense that some things are better left private and left and handled in a private setting.
Exactly. And a learning experience that hopefully we won't see again. And we just realize that we're all human. We all have feelings. We all hurt. And we just need to know how to really deal with it. Mm-hmm. I think as a society, we don't really know how to deal with pain, rejection, aggravation. I think we lash out on ourselves sometimes, and then we lash out at others. Because I think as a society, we don't really talk about that. That's something not really taught growing up. For instance, when I was brought up, they put their hands on you. Something went wrong as a kid, they're going to hit you with a belt. They're going to hit you with a switch. They hit you with a shoe, back of your hand or something. So for me, growing up, I said, I know that's not what I'm going to do to solve a problem or to get my point across if I have kids, is put your hands on them. Right. Or do any of that, because you do damage to kids like that. And so that's something we need to learn, that we need to be able to talk and communicate our feelings. And you may not like it, but at least you're able to talk about it, and let's put it on the table. Let's see how we feel about different things, to be honest, and let's settle it. Because if you don't settle it, it just festers. It just gets worse and worse. And like I said, it festers. It becomes a sore. Then it becomes infected. And all of a sudden, like I said, one day you go and you drink some water. It's like a bad tooth. You drink water, and all of a sudden it explodes. Mm-hmm. And it's not the water or the soda that made it explode, because you neglected it. You didn't deal with it when you had to. Just like, it gets better, but it keeps getting worse. And little things start to creep in and make it even worse. So, as a society, we need to do that. And we need to have more conversations with each other about
But we
issues.
actually dealing with the issues right up front, as opposed to sitting there and letting them kind of fester, thinking that they'll dwindle away with time.
Exactly.
Time heals all.
Well,
that's the phrase that so many of us are raised up with, and eventually it turns into just let it fester.
Exactly.
Just let it fester and leave it there, and eventually, hopefully, it'll fester away.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, hopefully we'll learn. I don't think we will as a society. We don't really have those conversations. We're so small-minded at this point, where it's just like we forget it. If it happened, 15 seconds later, forgot it and move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. But in this particular case, we definitely need to have conversations and need to teach our kids how to deal with conflict and, resolution and that type of stuff. Because, if they see us acting that way, well, how are you going to tell them to act differently? Because kids do what they see, not what you say.
Right, you lead by example. Absolutely. So the actions speak much louder than just your words that you try to portray onto the youth, who sees and hears everything that you don't want them to see or hear. Mm-hmm. Right? And then they eat that up and then kind of run with it. And Will Smith was just, like you said, that clean rapper, and we just didn't have many of them.
No.
And then so for him to kind of lose that control, it really it's mind-boggling, because how many more clean rappers do you have to kind of be that role model, so to speak, and that within our culture or community, so to speak? It's exactly. Just not many.
No, it really isn't. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's a very unfortunate situation. And like I said before, hopefully we learn something from it. But we'll wait and see. Right. We'll see.
So this reminds me of the last thing they said when they closed out from that entanglement conversation. I think it was bad marriage for life. Because mm-hmm. you're calling for it. You're like, maybe they'll divorce after this. I'm like, what if it's just a bad marriage for life?
There's just like I talked about recently about cracked, broken, and shattered. I also go with relationships. You have people that happens to the ABC, the CBS of people. There's also the CBS of marriage, of relationships. There's so much stress that a relationship can take before it's just shattered. And then you have to ask yourself, is it worth putting in the work to fix it? They've been together for a long time. They have grown kids now. They could be at a point where it's like, you know what, enough is enough. It's a facade now, and let's do something different. Because at some point, you have to be happy. And to me, it seems like it's a photo op when I see them. It doesn't look like they're happy.
But can two people literally be involved for this long and it just not be nothing there to the marriage?
I think their feelings, but I think they may have. We as humans, we're constantly changing. We're constantly evolving. You may not be evolving in the same level area that your partner could be. You could be in a different spot, and at that point, you ask yourself the question: is it worth spending the time to see if we can get back into that same realm? But that means you two have to really have a real conversation. Like, you see it every day. Someone just recently, after 25 years, getting a divorce.
Right.
And you're thinking, damn, 25 years you getting a divorce?
Yeah.
20 years getting a divorce, or 18 years. And you're like, wait a minute, you've been with somebody that long? Bill Gates, he was married to his wife damn near 35 years, and they got divorced. And they loaded. And so it was like, it's not the money. Right. So obviously they grew apart, and it's just like, we've been together for 35 years. I'm going to go ahead and give you whatever so I can get out the picture. Same thing with Bezos. He divorced his wife after 25, 30 years. And again, loaded. So in some cases, it's just like, you know what? I think we have come to the end of the road, and you got to be honest about that. Say, hey, we may be at the end of this particular ride, and I'm changing at such a level that I can't see you in the next chapter. But that means you have to talk to each other and see where you are. We see where she's at. We see where he's at. But you got to be happy. That's the bottom line. Is if you can't do it just off of, y'all been together. It would look so
just
so
for time's
different.
sake.
Yeah.
Don't stay together for time's sake. In other words,
no, and stay together for the kids. Kids grown now.
Yeah.
So you can't say, well, the baby's 5 or 6 years old.
At this point, with that type of a couple, you'd assume that any decision that we're going to make, anything based off, has to be just me and you.
Yes.
I can't imagine money being a major factor. Either we got it or we don't.
Exactly.
The kids, like you said, they're grown, and the children have been independent. And what's some more factors that we regular people would, consider? I don't think that's really an issue for such a couple. It's really just, our feelings and emotions. Do we still want to be here?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you probably know couples and people. I know people who are together, and you ask yourself the question, when you see them together, they look miserable. And you're like, and no one should ever be in a situation where you wake up every morning and stick a mirror underneath their nose and they're still breathing.
I prefer for married couples to walk around and look miserable. That doesn't bother me. Like, not one bit.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It doesn't bother me. It's the couples who are dating. 5 years dating and you guys are miserable. No one cares. Break up.
That is so true.
Your boyfriend and girlfriend. It's the people who real life showed up to the little altar and said, no, I'm going to say I do, and I'm going to try to give it my all. And you're miserable. Okay. Hey, maybe me too, but you're going to try and see what you can do. But don't be miserable and be dating. I guess that's that's the weird part to me.
I do agree with you on that, and it's almost like the same thing. You see it on Judge Judy, where they come in and they bought a whole house together, bought all these furnitures and stuff, and now they go to Judge Judy and say, "Hey, can we separate this stuff?" And the first thing she says is, "Did you get married?"
Yep.
Oh no. Oh, so you played house?
Yeah, you played something.
You played house.
And then you want to be mad.
Yes.
Just say goodbye.
And by the way,
just say goodbye.
That is, and another thing that just gets me. I'm tired of people walking around saying hubby and wife, and they ain't got a piece of paper at all.
It's
what
cute.
The hell does that mean?
It's
cute.
Cute.
No, they ain't cute. No. Listen,
love it.
I got to put papers on you. If I got papers on you, then we can talk. We can say wife and husband, but don't walk around there just perpetrating a fraud. And you're not, because if that's the case, make the move.
No,
Don't sit around and
because
perpetrate.
when you fall, bust your head, break your leg, car run over you, don't call me. You just my wifey. No, call your mom, call your dad. Don't call me. That's what that means. Don't have that paper. That means something really hit the fan. Don't call me. But you just want to go out to lunch. Then I'm like, that's what that means.
And my thing is,
That's what
where?
that means.
But think about this, T. Where the hell are we at this point where you rather perpetrate a fraud than to go ahead and make that walk and get married?
Oh yeah, no, you can't claim me like that. Oh no, you can. No, if I fall, hit my head, bump, hit my head, no, I'm not calling my mom. I'm calling up my man. No, I'm calling up you. Yeah. Where he at? Where's the hubby at? Bring him in.
Oh,
He'll notify my father.
see,
Because we're not doing that.
see that's listen. I came. You can't even say that to me. My first thing I'm gonna ask you, you got papers?
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't got no papers. We've been living together for 10 years. Don't mean a damn thing to
Why
me.
y'all living together for 10 years?
First of all, the old saying, if I can get the milk for free, why buy the cow?
Well, hey,
And if the cow dries up, I can always find me another one.
I guess. Ouch, that hurt my feelings.
This is what happens. You put yourself in that situation, and this is what happens to
Oh.
you. You keep giving up the good milk.
Y'all stop giving up the milk.
can't-
Ouch, it hurts just to think about. They gonna go get them a new cow as soon as the
They're
milk dries.
Let me
That's
say
what
this.
they've been
As
doing.
guys, we're going to get that cow. We're going to get that
Yeah,
new cow.
nah.
Why? We could be 60 years old
Yeah.
and still getting that cow.
Yeah,
Getting that
because
milk.
I be looking good as look at a single woman at 60 versus a single man
now,
at 60.
now let me say this: as a guy, you have to keep your game up. You can't just walk around with the pot belly and the bald head.
No, they still pulling with
and-
the pot bellies.
Oh,
Yeah, they
and you
still
better have a
pulling.
nice bank account.
Yeah.
If that's the case, because
I mean, by 60, if your bank account's not nice, like what are you doing?
do you know how many people I know at 60 ain't got no bank account at all?
Hopefully they not 60.
Broke.
Hopefully they not
Just
single.
broke
I hope
broke
they
as a
not
joke.
single.
I tell you, they're single, but they live with other women who can't find nobody, so they're with them.
Oh.
That's what they're doing. Again, like as I said, when it gets to a point where you get desperate,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I don't want to be alone. Damn it, I can't be alone. I did not live this long to get to this point and not have no man and no nothing. This
As
is
a
ridiculous.
woman,
As a
single,
woman.
said I'll take anybody.
Anybody.
A 60-year-old broke man.
60-year-old broke man. You know what's that? Right now, the highest, the newest highest HIV transmission is 50 and old, 55, 64.
Wow. No, I didn't know that at all.
55, 64. And the reason is because of these women at this point, they're looking for someone. And the guys could be in a situation, could be just getting out of jail, could be down low, could be a whole bunch of situations. But you get entangled with this dude, and now you get entangled by getting infected. Because you wouldn't think at 55 to 64, I wouldn't even think about catching anything. You should be smart enough
So
and clean
you
enough.
still just have raw relations?
I'm
with
pretty sure.
An older. Now, so we got older and dumber. I thought you was just young and dumb. So now we
No.
old and dumb too. Now
and
that's
dumb, too.
interesting.
Yes, old
That's
and
so
dumb.
we're not going to protect ourselves at 55 and older because now I guess he done made it this far without nothing. I guess I guess he good now.
Yes.
Wow.
He good to go. And you're putting
Yeah.
yourself at risk. And again, that goes back to what I said before. You have to learn to love yourself.
Absolutely.
Wherever you are at that point, you have to love yourself.
Because I mean, at this point, who dates without sex on the table?
Well, you know.
So now you telling me we not only just doing it, we just doing it raw, just loose, just with nothing. We're not gonna cover nothing now. There's no hats going on.
Hey,
heads. I mean-
because you think about, you're at this stage, you're not sick now, so, and so let's try it. Then all of a sudden, oh God, I got it. Well, now you're in another situation. Now you got something that you have to tell everyone. You have to deal with for the rest of your life. First of all, and I think if you tell somebody that you caught something or have something like herpes or AIDS or something like that or HIV, I don't think your likelihood of you finding someone decent is going to really shoot through the roof.
So you secure the deal, and then you try to fall in love later.
Oh,
Is that what they're? I'm just trying to understand it.
I don't know. It's crazy to
Because we're
me.
55 and older is what you're saying at this
Yes,
point, right?
55 and older is the newest
Did we
HIV
just move on
transmission.
to the next? It sounds like we just move on to the next victim then. No.
Yeah, it could very well be. I mean, but again, you got guys. Again, I'm a guy. I could tell you based on the guys I know. Some of these Bammers are so sad that they're just like, listen, just let me get in. Just get in the door. I'll wash your car. I'll take care of you. All I gotta do is, be here with you. You take care of me. Buy a little this and that and everything, and I'll be here for you because it's like, I'm trading me for my being here for you. You gotta just kick a little money, a little something, keep me here.
So you don't have to work.
No.
You don't have retirement check. You don't have a disability
check?
check. I mean, I don't know. You better have some type of check.
I would think so, but you have to also look at a lot of these guys who are coming out now. If they were in jail for, let's say the 80s. You went to jail for drugs in the 80s. And you get that long term. So you 20, 25, 30 years deep. You're coming out. So the question is, if you were in jail for 20, 25 years, are you going to tell me that you were celibate for 20, 25 years in prison?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That you better be saying that. Come on.
See.
That's absolutely what is being said.
But again,
you can't fathom that.
Oh my God.
Are you saying 30 years celibacy for
in
25?
prison?
Yes. There's no one else to do it.
What did they become Muslim?
I hope so. I hope so.
Oh my God! Come on, and again, they gotta sell
What
you.
you trying to say though? What you trying to say?
Okay. There's a show called Love After Lockup. That's on.
No, it's before love. Okay, so the love letters.
Yeah. Well, and then what happens is these people get married to these cats behind bars. They come out there talking, "I'm gonna be good to you. I love you. I got nothing but you on my mind." Bro, you've been in jail for 20, 30 years. That's all you.
He loves me.
And
he
whoever
only loves me.
And whoever else.
No one.
Okay.
He only sent letters to me only.
Okay. Okay, just you. Okay.
Just me, yeah,
okay. So, and you come out there thinking, I'm waiting for him. I'm going to save myself for him. He going to be out, and we're going to get together.
I got him 6 pair of J's. You can't tell me nothing. I'm ready for him to come home. Timberlands and all.
And that's crazy because what? Okay, I'm gonna ask you, even though you're not there, you're never gonna be there. But what kind of mindset is it of a woman to date a guy behind bars, and commit to him? Not just say I'm gonna date him, but I'm not going out. And had the dude say, "You better be home when I call you. You better be out in them streets." Handling, doing stuff.
This is the same woman who falls in love with the guy behind the internet. He's the same guy. The guy you can't quite get your hands on. The guy who can't hurt you. So the woman who's looking to not be hurt, I'll assume. And yes, I better be there when he get home because I want a man to want me to be right where he want me to be. I want to be wanted. So I want you to say to me, you better be home at 6:30 when it's time for my 6:30 phone because I haven't been wanted in such a long time I better be there. Hello, I'm there, baby. I'm here. That phone right, I'm on it.
Oh my God!
They wanted me to answer their phone calls in so long that now by the time old boy starts to demand it, I'll assume that that's the type of woman who's looking for that. One who's tired of being hurt.
Wow.
One who doesn't want to be hurt anymore. One who's looking for a little more control in her relationship because letting go of that control before didn't work in her advantage.
Wow.
Right? When you think about the choices that women make in a relationship or as they pursue being in a relationship, you didn't just wake up at 13 and 14 and say, I'm a date like this.
No,
you dated very different.
Yes.
Depending on, if you were 16 and how that went versus when you were 21, and see how that went.
Yeah.
If you only met guys who never really wanted to love you, they only played you out, you allowed them to have loose sex with you and then they just left and, you were high and dry when you called them, they ghosted you or they didn't answer your phone or they played games on you and didn't quite return your phone calls for days on, you're going to start playing the guys a little bit different as you get older, and then you start accepting stuff that just feels better to your emotional side. So This man who's locked up, has this whole artistic side behind him. He's all poetic now, and he's writing me love letters, and I've never received a love letter before. Poetry, I've never received poetry before. Art, oh my God, I've never received art before.
Oh my God.
So that's the type of woman, the type who on Valentine's Day, instead of your guy getting you the Valentine's Day, that's the day you realize he wasn't quite your Valentine.
Okay.
Yeah, the woman has been conditioned.
Wow.
And now, yes, you locked up, but guess what? You feel so much better than some of the ones that perhaps they've run into before.
Wow.
That's the only thing I can fathom.
Oh my God. So I guess what you're saying is somehow we're failing, like I said before, you're failing the emotional needs of our little girls in the beginning. Because it didn't just, at 21, you should, for me, if you raised her a certain way, you show her unconditional love, you show her what she should be looking for, and that she would look at guys, she would look out for different guys, or wow.
No, not what you raised, right? Let's say you raised her, you did a good job. You did a great job. But then she decided not to go to college, right?
Oh, wow.
So then she's around a certain group of neighborhood guys, right? And they don't know if they're coming or going.
Yeah, that's true.
So then she has a certain experience from that particular group of guys who are not necessarily they don't know what they're looking for.
That's true.
Or perhaps she did go to college and she came across the group of guys who were just playing games amongst their group of men, and they wanted to, get as many women as they could, type of
True.
Experiences that women have that are just totally independent of how daddy treated you and how he raised you. Dad did everything right. He was the best father. He made sure you were loved. He made sure he bought you dresses. He showed up to all the daddy and daughter dances. He took you, weekend trips away. You and the family went away. Your dad did it all, and still your experiences, depending on the situations that you can find yourself in, can still make you put yourself in a very guarded position in life, or a position where you're just accepting things that you yourself didn't think that you would be willing to accept as your 15 or 16-year-old self.
Wow.
Because the men, you have to also recall, are either, I hate to say broken, but sometimes they just have this weird concept on how they're supposed to approach women and what they're supposed to do with women. And so if you're a young guy and you say, especially in today's day and age, I just want to get a regular job and be married by 21 and have kids and be a family, the rest of your peers are not doing that.
No.
They're going to influence you to, that's the lady that you're trying to go steady with. You're planning on saving that money for a ring. There's a good chance that those guys will, because in their mind what you're doing is not correct, and so perhaps they will try to get you to hang out with them and engage in their single lifestyle and do the things that single men do, which will kind of move you a little bit. And you kind of got to be a really strong person to say, no, this is the direction the path that I want to go on. But most guys aren't doing that at that age. And so when you think about when a woman is dating, who is she really dating? Because we're saying you're supposed to date to be wed. But then when you're dating while you're 18 and you're 19 and you're 20 and you're 20, are you really dating to be wed? And you're as a 20-year, are you even grooming your child to? So then what's the point of dating at those ages? But you're still doing it.
That's true. That's very true.
So you are dating with this group of males who are not necessarily there to take care of you as a lady by design.
Yeah.
And then so what does that do to you as a woman? You kind of got to be the in the group, the Cruella of the group, just so that I can stay as pristine as I need to, but I still got to, mix and mingle and show up and pretend like, I'm here for the party, but I'm not really partying like how the rest of you all are partying. I'm going to stay up till 2 or 3, but I guarantee I'm going home with just me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pretend, I'm going to turn up. Yeah, I'm going to have a drink or two, but one of us in the group is sober, and she's going to make sure we all get back home. We're not really playing the game like how you think we're playing this game.
Yeah.
But it's like, how many are doing that?
That's true.
So we do have this whole realm of people who are dating who get broken along the way, because once that man breaks, I can't go back home to daddy to build me back up.
No.
Right? Now I'm
No.
looking
I already
for
raised you
another
one time,
Only
and
once.
that's it. And then I would think I gave you all the tools in your toolbox necessary to make the right decisions. Because you're right. We can only raise them to a point.
That's right.
And at that point, we gave them everything they need to make the decisions possible, the right decisions.
Yep.
If they make the wrong decisions, then you have to live with the consequences. But you hope that decision, it doesn't cause irreparable harm to her, because again, you never know the guy. You never know. He could be the kind of dude put hands on it.
And then women, what they end up, especially the younger women, is you're not so forthcoming to what happened to you to the women that could make a difference, right? Let's say I'll tell my roommate what happened, but she's so young and dumb, she don't really know how to advise me. So now I'm in a corner crying for a whole week, whereas if I'd have just went home for the weekend and went to my mom's house or went to auntie's house, auntie would have got me all the way in order. Within 2 hours, we would have been at the bar, hanging out, chopping it up, buying a new outfit, and I would have been back to school all regular by Monday come.
That's
but
true.
Because I put all my feelings and emotions into somebody who I thought should have knew better, like my peer, but they didn't have a clue because they were just as ill experienced as I am. I'm sitting in the corner, broken, looking silly, and this little freshman experience or this experience that happened this year going to fester, and it might end up festering for years.
Yes.
Because I really never sought out the help that I didn't know I needed.
Wow. And I guess that's the other crazy thing that I'm just thinking is nowadays there's not really many places you can go to get answers, especially if you talk to your peers and they're just as confused as you are. And you're right, you don't want to go back to your parents because basically they already told you. They already raised you. So it's like,
and you didn't value them. Let's not forget that part. Sometimes we just didn't value what our parents had said, and technically you weren't primed to receive what they were saying.
But see, that goes back to how were you raised? I mean, if you were under a domineering relationship with your parents, that they never gave you an opportunity to speak your mind or let you tell them how you feel, and then they basically tell you this what you have to do. You're going to do this, blah 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 blah, and then you 18 and get ready to go to college or go out the door. You don't really know how to think on your own because your parents never gave you an opportunity to even think on your own because they did it for you.
Absolutely,
and
because it was easier.
And to me, that is a problem because you have to let these kids make some decisions and find out what that repercussion could be, because you have to lead them. You can't direct them. You can't tell them these are absolutes. There's certain absolutes you tell them. You got to go to school. You're going to graduate. You're going to do this. But outside of that, if you tell them how to do their lives or what they should do or make all the decisions for them, now they can't really make a decision, and they don't want to go back to you because they're like, oh, if I make the wrong decision, I'll never hear the end of it. I told you, don't do this, but you did it anyway.
Absolutely. There's several occasions where I look at my oldest son and I just simply tell him, stop trying to use my brain. It's not going to happen. I'm not thinking for you. And keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love that phrase, stop trying to use my brain. Because that's what you're trying,
Yeah.
But absolutely, there are some parents who you raise your children and you don't force them to think on their own. And that is critical to make sure that our children can think independently.
Yeah, because it's going to come back and haunt them and the relationships that they're in, all types, whether it's, marriage, normal relationship, work relationships, because then they don't know how to really deal with it, because you can have difficult people all over the world. Whoever you meet, they're going to have to deal with someone who's difficult.
Right.
And if your parents do this and you're thinking, well, that's what they told me, it's the absolute. No, you should be able to think and say, let me make the right decision based on this particular situation. And you can't, in a lot of cases, you won't use the same answer for the same situation because situations are different.
Right.
But if your parents deal with absolutes,
then it's the same.
then it's the
Yeah.
same, and you could make it even worse based on relationships and everything else. So I guess, we as parents got to make sure that we allow our kids to think for themselves.
And mess up.
Yes.
Because they going to mess that up.
It's
right?
best for them to mess up at home than to mess out in the streets. Because you mess out in the streets, there could be no coming back for it. But if you mess up at home, then you can tell them if it doesn't go a certain way. See, I told you should be thinking about, you should have done it this way or that way.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
can guide you for the next step.
Exactly. So for your young ladies, I mean, what do you suggest? Do you start to, because it gets tricky when they start to get into that 11, 12-year-old, because now you start to deal with hormonal issues and other things. What do you think is the best way to really truly raise preteens and teens?
As far as approaching what and that
Decision
age
making. For instance, if you have an issue at school, if somebody's harassing them at school, someone's bugging them at school, or a young man's harassing them at school.
I think number one, they should know like the levels to escalate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You start here.
Mm-hmm.
If at this level it doesn't stop, then you go here.
Mm-hmm.
If at this level it doesn't stop, then you take it here.
Okay.
So in school, meaning you need to have enough sense to know that if someone's bothering you, touching you, talking to you, and you never told that person something as basic as stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stop.
True.
It doesn't start with you coming home to tell mom. It doesn't start with you telling the teacher. It starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
You are the first person in command of you. And
Exactly.
that's the first lesson I think that I teach all of my children, that you can help you way faster than I can help you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You go to cross the street, you need to look both ways first.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, technically, you make a step out, I'm going to have to try to snatch you back.
Exactly.
That came after what you did. So you take the lead in what you're doing. Somebody's bothering you, you speak first
Mm-hmm.
and try to change that situation.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't work, then you go to the next step, which
Mhm.
is if it's in school, then you go to, mom or the teacher, whichever one is more convenient. If that doesn't work, then you know that we're going to take it up another step from there and, go through the proper channels as far as administration or getting in touch with, those people's parents.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the straight and narrow mom. I don't tell the kids not to hit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that type of person. I believe that if someone has put their hands on you, you immediately put your hands back on them. In the playground, in the realm of K through 8.
Yes.
My conversation pieces for the 9th and 12th graders does change
Mm-hmm.
because, in my opinion, if we've established ourselves from K through 8, then that reputation goes with us to high school.
Absolutely.
So I advise my K through 8 children that if someone puts their hands on you, you put your hands back on them and make sure the teacher sees you,
Mm-hmm.
because the teacher needs to know you. That you are not the child that people just willy-nilly put their hands on and then think that you just about to sit down and tell the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're going to tell the teacher after the fact because you handle your situations. And this goes right back to Will Smith but again, this is not, the children are in leadership positions, right? Everybody here is equally yoked.
Exactly.
And so if you equal to me and you slapping the mess out of me, I'm going to show you what getting slapped out feels like, and yes, all the way up into 8th grade, because clearly, there's a problem you have with me, and I am the only one who can fix it. The teacher can't technically tell you to stop teasing a kid.
True.
They continue to tease the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're mad that the kid then turned around and slapped fire. No, that's what that kid was supposed to have done. Get
True.
that kid a 3 to 5 days extension, and let's move on from there. Yeah.
Cool.
So off the break is the independent thinking as far as how you're maneuvering and handling yourself in the classroom. That's
Mm-hmm.
always to me number one.
Okay.
Know how to handle yourself in the classroom, because that's your first encounter with people that are not safe,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're at home and you're in a space with your family and your cousins, those are supposed to be safe,
True.
right? Meaning your cousin whack you, you can yell out and mom will come to your rescue type of thing. But
Exactly.
here there is no mom, there is
Mhm.
no dad, there is no uncle, there is no auntie, there is no grandma. This is not the safe space,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason, you need to know how to handle yourself in this arena. And that's where the grooming of the independent thinking comes from, is that first introduction to the school system,
Mhm.
in my opinion,
Okay.
and how you handle yourself there. The interactions as far as relationships are concerned come with the interactions from your friends.
Mm-hmm.
How you respect your male or female.
Mm-hmm.
How you respect your male friend. How you respect your female friend or your best, people who you calling your best friends
Mm-hmm.
or your classmates.
True. True.
Relationships are relationships. When
That
you
is
know
true.
basic respect and how to deal with each other, that's going to take you a long way. And so you groom them not just from a significant other type of relationship, but just, how to be a good friend, how to be a good person.
How to be a good person.
Yes.
That right there is one thing that everybody wants to be perfect.
There's no perfection.
You have to be perfectly imperfect.
That's it. That's it.
And once people realize that's what you're really striving for, we won't even have 90% of the issues that we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody keeps thinking somehow they're gonna be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to make sure that you respect others. And I think that's the biggest issue overall is respect. It's like we have to. I don't know when we lost it, but it's like no one has no respect for anyone. For whatever reason, they rather just do things and just do it rather than respect someone else's view, someone else's different view on different things, parenting skills, and again, if everyone raised their kids like you raised your kids, you have no problem allowing your kids in someone else's home.
Right.
You're not going to allow your kid at someone else's home because if you know that kid off the hook, you can only imagine what they're going through in their house.
Well, yeah,
So
absolutely.
and you don't want that to rub off on your kid.
Well, more than that, you don't want that to. You don't have to roll up in somebody else's house and kind of correct someone's anything. Like,
No.
You don't want any of that to create any type of rifts or tiffs and nowhere's near your home.
No.
Like, it's just certain things that you just wouldn't even tolerate or set yourself up for. And it is a shame to see because we are raising our children more distant from the neighbors in the community, I think, than we've ever had. We let less children in, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only imagine the kids who used to kind of get taken care of in the community, by the community. What happened to those kids?
Exactly.
They're still there. Just who's taking care of them now?
Really, they take care of themselves because of the dynamic, both parents have to work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no one, you're a latchkey kid.
Yes.
So you take care of yourself. You
Yes.
just know when you get in the house, lock the door, don't open the door for nobody, don't answer the phone, don't look at that window, don't do this.
But the latchkey kids used to have Miss Jones downstairs to
That's
look out
true.
for the latchkey. The man of the neighborhood used to keep an eye on them, make sure they had a little snack when they come around that corner. Y'all
That's
kids
true.
good, let me toss y'all some apple.
Yep,
The
that's
neighborhood
true.
used to know who the kids was that you used to have to keep a special eye on. And if they come out of the house crying and boo-hooing and looking crazy, ain't no adults in there.
Nope.
So either the siblings had a fight and you got to jump in and make sure you calm them down and send them back into the house, or you got to get involved because their mother is not home. Well, now we just kind of leaving those kids to you better stay up in that house type of thing.
And that's also the problem because when you're leaving kids by themselves in the house, unlike before, you now have the internet. So now you're leaving these kids in the house by themselves with the internet.
Right.
And the internet is not one of those things, that you could just say, well, I can protect it because if they have homework to do, other things to do, they have to use it. But kids are curious.
Yes.
So now they go and start finding other things you didn't really want them to look at. And not to
Yes.
mention, these kids are a lot more advanced than we ever were. I mean, when it comes to, they're more technologically savvy than we were. I mean, of course, we didn't have computers back then, but it's just certain things that they could get themselves into not knowing because there's no one really supervising them, which is another issue with this whole, how the work flow is working with the two families. Everybody has to work to make ends meet, not to work to get over, but to work, both has to work in order to just pay the bills, which is unfortunate, but ultimately the kid suffers because now they basically have to grow up sometimes by themselves, or the TV or the internet raises them.
And unfortunately, you know, that seems to be one of the conversation pieces that nobody really wants to have, is why are our households being strapped the way that they are, where both parties in the household must work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you said, it's not to, you know, be super comfortable. It is just to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the area that we're living in today. You must have two people in the household working. Must.
Yes.
Just to come up with the basic.
The basic. We're not talking about trips. We're not
No,
talking
we're
about.
talking about degrees and your background and all that. Yeah, you need to be two. Yes.
And it's so crazy.
Employed people.
And that's crazy to me because there are kids right now getting out of college in hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of debt and can't get a job that can pay them maybe a little bit over minimum wage.
Right.
But yet you keep telling everybody you got to go to college, you got to go this. You used to, when we went to college, you go to college, you're going to have a good job. Somebody going to hire you, you got a degree.
Well, we're shifting away from jobs, getting to contracting.
Exactly.
Businesses got smart.
Yes.
And so as a consumer, you know, of all the goods, whether the goods be the colleges or whatever trains us to be able to get employed, we got to really start picking and choosing.
Yeah.
What are we going to be consuming? Because if it don't make sense, then it don't make sense.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And again, that, you know, it's hard because now you want to point your kids. You know, the whole thing I talk about is to know yourself, and the kid needs to know who they are. But then comes in the whole vocation discussion. It's like they may like art, but art ain't gonna pay the bills. So you're gonna push them in somewhere because you want them to be able to take care of themselves. And in this world today, you really can't, unless you're lucky enough to be in IT or accounting or management. If you're into, I don't want to even say fluff, but if you're into art and history and that type of stuff, unless you want to be a teacher, you know, you pretty much pigeonhole in how much money you're going to make, which is unfortunate. Because now these kids go to school for all this, and now they got student debt up to yin yang, and I know people paying $1,200 a month student loans.
Yeah.
And they would make $1,200 take home a month.
Yeah, but again, you know, you just did it wrong. You didn't crunch any of the numbers before you approached it, and then you didn't have an end game. See, we can't just play the game and never have an idea how to get out of it. Someone put that little idea in my head that we jump into the workforce, or we jump into the, you know, going to college is technically your attempt to jump into workforce too. So I'm gonna say them act like the same, but you jump into the workforce without a real concept or end game of how to jump out of it first. You just jump in. You don't jump out and say, this is how I'm getting in and getting out. You say, this is how I get in. I get in by applying to college. I get in by applying to a job. You just get in. And as long as you get in, you good.
True.
And you don't really know where you're going to stop or which way you're going to go. You don't have a plan at all. You've not crunched any of the numbers. You didn't say, hey, I actually can't afford this school because technically the degree that I want is going to give me too much debt, so maybe I should go to a state college or, you know, something that's more local, that's more affordable, so that I don't have all this debt because to me, 18 to 22, when most of the kids go to college to study, you know, any old thing that they don't really have a clue on, that's a social grooming time as well.
Yeah.
And
It
to
is.
be socially groomed, that's such a at large price points just isn't going to make sense if, like you said, you're coming out with an art degree. It's nothing that can kind of, like, it wasn't a sensible investment anymore. Now you just there wasting money, and if your family got the money to waste, then blow it. I'm
Exactly.
down for blowing money if you got it to blow.
If you got it.
But if you don't, then you just chose poorly because you didn't have a good plan.
Yeah.
I saw one student who opted to go to another state university as opposed to their own state university, and I think the difference was maybe $20,000 a year. You spent 30 grand a year versus maybe 15 grand a year
Okay.
to go to school because you wanted to leave the state.
That's the only reason?
That's the only reason.
So the program wasn't better?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
And you know how many other people are making poor choices like this? Especially
Yeah.
our first timers,
Yes.
where this is the first kid that goes off to college. No, my kid is going out of town. No, my kid is going to live on campus. But nobody in the family really has a clue on how to navigate these, the whole situation. So it's poor planning. And we're consuming this and we're running into the debt thinking that we're doing our kids some type of, justice. And we're really engaging in poor planning with them. That's not fair.
Yeah. And especially in today's where it's just asinine that, they're having discussions about freezing the student loan payments. Well, these kids can't afford it anyway. If we can find billions of dollars to send overseas for someone else's war, I'm pretty sure you can take billions of dollars and pay off all these kids' student loans. Because you basically you're stopping your growth. Because these kids are stuck under that debt that can't go away. You can't say, I want to file bankruptcy and get rid of it. It doesn't go away.
Right.
So that hinders them doing things like, starting families, want to buy a house, want to buy a new car, because they can't afford it.
Right.
So then you hear people in society talk about, people ain't having kids like you used to. People can't afford to have kids.
It's uncomfortable.
Yes. I mean, it's hard for people to take care of yourself. But let alone you want to now bring a kid in and, no, I can't afford it. So the kids suffer. So that adds additional stress on to people who are out here. So to me, it's just, we got to figure a better way. We got to figure out a way to make sure that these kids are going to school, and when they're coming out, they can get jobs that they can really live and grow and prosper, and so they can get a family and everything. But, I don't know when it's going to happen.
Desire.
Okay, so, but like I said, this has been, wow, an eye-opening experience when it comes to just, the things we've been talking about today, just, the slap around the world and how to deal with raise kids and, dealing with, the kids that decide to go and do better, and they still got to pay the price for it.
Right.
So we definitely have to, do better as a society. So, like I said, we are definitely going to be having further conversations about that on top of all the other things we need to talk about. So, but you know what? We're going to wrap this up today.
I enjoyed it.
It was
a pleasure.
And always a pleasure, T. Always. And like I said, you guys, if you love the channel, you love what we're talking about, please hit that like button and subscribe to us. And always, I'm going to leave you with this. You have to overcome all to become one. That means you have to spend the time and take the effort to work on yourself to become the best version of you that you can be. So what you want to leave the people with, T?
Really thinking about the relationship side of things, and that the relationships that you create with your mom, with your coworkers, with your significant others, just be mindful that relationships are just that, relationships. Take care of each other. That's it.
Oh. Well, peoples, we'll be back at you real soon. So you just was listening to On the Mic with the M.
And T.
See you guys later. Peace.
Take care.